welcome to Arcana Drive. My name is Arcana, but I won't be a driver this evening because I don't have my license. And today, we're talking about being chopped. Some things on this channel have been notoriously scuffed, or lacking in polish, or great technical skill. I had a stream without game audio once. My model wasn't super impressive, my stream setup isn't really that good. I posted videos with typos, timing mistakes, slightly shitey audio, slightly. The old art I used for this channel wasn't actually finished. I had intentions to shade it and even add poses, but I made this decision to put myself out there, even when I didn't feel ready. So, why would I do that? The modern world has opened us up to accessible information. If you want to learn a skill, you can within reason do so. You can learn as much about playing guitar as you can without having to have the funds to buy one, at least. For a few years, this is very useful and very fun too. Over your summer breaks from college, you could pick something up just for the fun of it. This isn't to say you can't anymore, but it's not the same. Back in my day, there used to be more central resources for finding things. If you wanted X, you probably visited the same forum, fansite, or GeoCities page as everyone else looking for X. If you wanted Y, it was the same story. Nowadays, tutorials or info about X or Y get lost in TikTok feeds, drive-by reels, and stuck in a sea of Twitter bookmarks. It might be hard to remember what it even was you wanted to learn. In addition, there are so many more sources for information. Generally speaking, this is super good. Not everyone gels with a certain teacher or teaching style, so it is great that we as people have choice on who is our teacher on the web. It also opens up more accessibility options. Deaf creators will specialize in creating deaf accessible content, likewise for blind people, likewise for those with learning or other physical disabilities. If you struggle to absorb long paragraph teaching, you wouldn't have survived on the forum days. But you can find a step-by-step video tutorial of the same thing. It truly is great, and I wouldn't change it. It has never been easier overall to learn or research new things, because if one tutorial article isn't meshing with you, there's a pretty good chance the next one on the same topic will. But all this content means there's so much more choice. Again, that's not a bad thing in of itself, but it can be overwhelming. It can be hard to know who to trust, if they've got it right, where they learned it from. Some people may rave about X person, but you find you can't get a clue what they're on about, putting you back to square zero. The first hurdle used to be getting started, but now it's trying to find out where you ought to be getting your info from. It's overwhelming. On top of that, if you happen to learn by doing, even if you do find a suitable place to learn from, you might be screwing yourself over by drowning in tutorials first. As I said on Becoming a VTuber to Save My Life Volume 6, everything is much harder to understand before you do it. I obviously still stand by that. Reading a set of arbitrary instructions could be mind-boggling. Without having a Scooby as to what you're actually handling can make any processing far more difficult than it is. I gave the example of making a cuppa on that episode, and I stand by it. It's not at all hard to make a cup of tea, I've just done it. But if you've never been in a kitchen, never made a cuppa before, the instructions are overwhelming. Trying to apply so many different rules and guidelines to things you simply don't understand or never have encountered before can stifle your ability to make sense of it naturally, which can in turn cause you to learn bad habits or otherwise just overcomplicate the whole process itself. This applies even more when you have so many choices where to get instructions from. One place says to use a teabag bin, another says to use a small dish, another doesn't even mention where to put the teabag. You won't know what you personally do with the teabag until you're there, spoon and teabag in hand. Tutorials and advice are useful. If I didn't think they were, I wouldn't have posted any myself. However, I do think they are only as useful as they are used by people. A tutorial cannot teach you how to do something on its own. If it could, a driving test would be all theory. Much like SpongeBob, if you're all theory no practice, you're not gonna learn the skill. As such, with that logic in mind, I made sure to avoid getting stun-locked into tutorial hell while I was trying to set up and navigate this channel. First, I would actually try and do the thing, and then once I was stuck, I would ask a friend. In a few cases, I already had stuff bookmarked for the event I got myself into a mess. In many other cases, tutorials weren't a part of the process for me at all. Part of the reason I did that is because I knew it'd be very easy for me to get stuck in a cycle of tutorial to tutorial, endlessly trying to figure out how to do something while getting more and more nervous to do it. If I didn't throw myself into doing something, I would have ended up never doing it. But another reason... Look, I'm nothing special. So when I say what I'm about to say, I'm not doing so with a sense of grandiosity. I'm saying it with hope and optimism. I'd like to inspire people to do things. Do them badly, do them well, just, do them. The internet has been increasingly plagued by one terrible thing. Perfectionism. In the earlier days of the internet, people weren't as aware of the longevity of the web as they are today. That's where there was so much iconic cringe from the 90s to 2010s, because people hadn't come to terms with the fact that A, these things would stick, and B, these things could breach containment. In the early days of YouTube, you posted stuff to the site expecting only the people you gave the link to see the videos. Originally, YouTube was intended to be an easier way to share videos to one another, rather than relying on unstable peer-to-peer connections. Older YouTube videos often lack hallmarks of modern-day ones. They are awkward, personal, lack an introduction, and do not address the audience. This is because older YouTube videos were made with that peer-to-peer aspect in mind. No one was meant to see the videos you uploaded because no one was likely to. Eventually, there was effectively a trending homepage implemented onto the site, where videos with high views would be pushed to people on the front page, but getting there was a rarity. It relied on you having an audience to share your video to in the first place, on or off the platform. There was a finite amount of space on the homepage, and everyone got the same homepage. Trending videos remained trending much longer. As of a decade ago, YouTube reportedly had 300 hours of content uploaded to its site per minute. Now, that number has almost doubled and shows no signs of slowing down. As such, even though there were trending videos, they were nothing like the algorithmic homepages of today. This meant people put up some regrettable things, none of which I will show you here, but you can probably muse on some classic cringe or other fails yourself. As a result of seeing those moments and their ensuing ridicule on loop, I think that people became afraid to be seen, as the kids say, caught lacking. Over time, the internet went from whatever the hell to a highlight reel. Take Instagram. I watched it in real time go from any old shitey selfie or other photo you had taken to polished edits in Meta. People even have layouts now. What the hell? What the fuck? Come on. Nowadays, there is a cultured fear around posting something bad or imperfect because people fear getting bullied and harassed for it. There are a lot of creators who go out of their way to post themselves in their less than perfect moments. I actually recently saw a creator with polycystic ovary syndrome show a video of her waxing her face, and creators make these videos to show to others that being less than perfect is okay. To which I obviously agree, but why have we made a world where we need these? While I do care about body positivity and other endeavors, I wanted to put some passion back into old-style YouTube content, but also mix it with the modern aspect of VTubing, posting videos for the hell of it. And I wanted to post my own videos in there as they come form to show other people that they can do it and live too, even in the VTubing sphere. You don't have to make your first post perfect. You can in fact make it quite shitey. Yes, gone are the days of the camera to TV DSP style Let's Plays, but that doesn't mean you need to rock up day one with perfect audio, perfect skill, perfect audience to game ratio, the most delightful overlay. There is an in-between for those two things. You don't have to be the best, but you're not, at the very least, DSP. I hope. Bottom line is, the internet has cultivated a culture that makes people afraid to earnestly, authentically try anything without being instantly amazing at whatever it may be. Over the years, I feel as though the bar to entry for VTubing has gotten quite high. This is mostly due to the fact that some of the most popular VTubers are either corporate funded, or indies who have been in the game long enough to have polish. Important to remember that, either way, these VTubers were not innately born with something that made them get to the levels they are at now. They did not magically become who they are today overnight. It's fine to be inspired by these people, I mean I sure was, but the problem is your day one is not going to be the same as someone else's day 1000, or the same as the day one with corporate backing. In the end, you can feel inadequate, or like you don't have the time, money, skill to actually do this. You don't have a nice model, or nice overlays, or tons of games, or super out there ideas you can do in your budget. It can be super disheartening, and prevent people from even wanting to try. Generally speaking, people don't tend to start things they feel they are destined to fail. However, reminding yourself how similar your favorites might have looked to you when starting out is important in these moments. They, like you, are only where they are through their decision to start and continue going in spite of the challenges they may or may not have faced. I dislike chasing perfection. And I dislike this evolving notion that things put onto the internet should be perfect. Why would you post something if it wasn't perfect? Do you want to be made a laughingstock? But it doesn't have to be like that. Okay, yes, people on computer mean this isn't going to change that, but I think more people would be individually happy if they didn't feel pressured to be perfect. And plus, perfection is boring, isn't it? Okay, using my degree here, but have you ever heard of Plato's realm of forms? Essentially, Plato postulated that there was a realm beyond the physical that encompasses various ideas and concepts. This realm is perfect in its existence. It doesn't wither with time, things stay the same, they do not rot or decay. The theory Plato gave states that the physical world is merely borrowing these ideas, creating imperfect versions of them for us to play with. Think of it like a video game. Your real life has the perfect form of the table, but the video game has a lower poly, smaller texture version. semi-bad analogy, but I hope you get it. Anyways, this extends into Plato's allegory of the cave, where he says some actual bullshit about how our life is just watching shadows projected onto a cave wall, and we ought to get up and leave the cave or whatever the hell. I kind of get it, but at the same time, I kind of need that ancient Greek ganja. In essence, he is saying the same thing, that the reality we exist in physically is a mere imitation of the true realm of forms, lacking in detail. It's an estimation, not the true thing. In the realm of forms, it is perfect. When you're taught this in school, your teacher probably tries to get you to think of a thing. Think of a perfect chair. Well, that is the realm of forms one. And the shitey metal frame plastic thing you're grinding your coccyx off on right now is our reality. But it always made me wonder, what the fuck does that even mean? A perfect table? There's one? And if so, what is the perfect table like? Every table I've ever seen has been different, some only in wear and tear, but the others in design and material. Those tables are different to other tables from their genesis point. The tables differentiated by wear, tear, manufacturing, or carpentry mistakes would be one and the same in the realm of forms. But what about a rounded table, a floor table, a folding table, a glass table? Is there only table, or is there glass table, or rounded glass table, or rounded glass floor table? You could go on. But it always bothered me, how many tables are in the realm of forms then? And does that not suck? What I mean to say is that if you aim for perfection, there is seemingly a small, finite pool of things you could be, if not just the one thing. If there's only one table, there is only one VTuber, right? God, can you imagine having to ask Plato of all people, hey, who's the VTuber in the realm of forms? It'd kill him, I think. Either way, there are many things in life that stem from imperfections, and if we all strive to be perfect, we will lose our individualities and our identities. Why would I watch 6 of the same perfect VTubers when I could spend a sixth of the time, and money, am I right, fellas, on just one? I watch different VTubers for different reasons, and the idea of there being one single perfect one bothers me. Striving for perfection is a surefire way to lose your individuality and charm, so I don't aim for it. One of the most important things in the content creation VTubing sphere is personality. You can spend £1 million, or dollars, on all the stuff to become a VTuber, like a nice model with 20 toggles, an iPhone for epic capture, different backgrounds and overlays, the best mic one can use, and still not take off if you do not have the personality for it. To try to start perfect from the jump would be a waste of your time and money. Start small, for God's sakes. Your imperfections will be, in the end, what makes you unique. They are tools, not setbacks, so to speak. In addition, I do think flaws are just fun. I've had a lot of conversations about video game patching as of late, and there are different opinions here and there. This is absolutely not the video to get into that. There may be a Yatmoe on it one day, but one of my reasonings to avoid patches was because of glitches, specifically through the lens of speedrunning. Speedrunning isn't something I much care about, I don't have an interest in doing it, and a lot of the streams and events around it don't super interest me. I chip into games done quick now and then, but I'm not the target audience. Despite that, I defend keeping glitches in games for speedrunning purposes. Sure, the game wasn't intended to be played that way, but that's fine, right? The majority of people won't use those glitches, and those who do will likely only stumble across one or two in their time and use those. In addition, why does it matter? I understand that games are intended to be played a certain way as per the creator's vision. However, I think it is a bit of a boo-boo to create an interactive game with a very limited and specific vision of experience in mind. We won't go into death of the author here, but at least with a movie you control 100% of the output. When I go to the cinema, whether I go 1 or 100 times, the film will be the same, even if my relationship with it differs. With a game, even linear ones, the experience changes immensely from person to person, playthrough to playthrough. It's why sandbox and open world games became so popular at one point. The non-linear, completely up to you gameplay appeals to a lot of people. As such, it feels like a slight misstep to try and constantly limit things to narrow down player experience to be as similar as possible. There is a case for patching and removal of glitches. Ones that brick saves or ruin games are fine to be rid of, but for harmless ones, even if they enable cheating in a single-player game, I don't see the harm. If anything, they are fun. Those who watch my streams will have seen me fly off to the peak in, well, you know, peak? Or even explore a touch out of bounds. Something particularly nostalgic to me is joining up online sessions on Animal Crossing New Leaf and having your friend show you the out of bounds net glitches. You couldn't do much, but it was fun. I was often the friend. You're welcome. Glitches are fun little imperfections in a video game that many won't find, but there are others who will find enjoyment out of them, and others that can create whole careers out of them. If it weren't for the video game glitches, GDQ wouldn't rake in millions for charity. I can empathize with the game's developer that they are intended, but at the same time, I think they are to be marveled at for their amusement regardless. All this is to say that what you may view as a blemish, others might enjoy. Imperfections have a place in an imperfect world. For my videos in particular, there's a level of down-to-earth scuff that makes me and my channel feel more like a friend than a corporate entity. This isn't intended. I don't wish to get parasocial, but a channel is far more enjoyable when it feels more human than corporate entity. There are tons of channels that I have enjoyed throughout the years, only for them to expand their ventures, become more corporate, and I end up unable to stay a fan. I understand that after a while, big channels are kind of forced to become more professional for a variety of reasons, but it does mean they lose that human touch and can feel distant from their audience. I think that leaving in certain mistakes and having fun with it is a great way to establish that you're a person too. This is doubled in the age of AI. Sure, AI makes mistakes, but they're weird mistakes that are uniquely inhuman. They suck to hear or see, but when a human fluffs it up, it can be kind of funny sometimes. Some of my favourites include on my channel, when I accidentally hit the mic on a Terraria stream, roll footage.
It's gonna move. I'm so fucking sorry.
It was super funny. If I was someone who strived for ultra pure perfection, then that moment would have made me really upset. A huge bang in the middle of an otherwise chill stream. If I was like my sister, no shade bestie, I would have burst into tears and quit the stream, deleting the VOD, going AWOL for a bit. For me though, that is hysterical and a warranted clip, but if you would ask me if I plan to hit my mic or not, of course the answer is no. I wouldn't plan to blow out the ears of my dear audience for no good reason. It was nothing short of an accident, and was not the intended effect for the stream. I think that, especially when live streaming, being so scared of mistakes sets one up to fail. When you're live, anything can happen. This can be from game trips not going well, to even things like a bloody earthquake. I recently, in air quotes, saw a bunch of Japanese livers and their reactions to the recent earthquake on their stream. You can tell that I wrote this script a while ago. From the clips I saw, everyone remained cool, calmly ending their streams to go take care of any damages and calm down, but if they were hyperactive and obsessed with the stream going perfectly, that would have been way more damaging for them. I can't imagine how stressful that situation is, let alone when you're stressing about the stream going as planned. Of course, most things aren't as dramatic as that. More commonly, you end up getting trolls or hate comments, but if you get bugged about them interrupting the flow, you can give them what they want. Instead, it's a lot better for you, your health, and your viewers if you can bounce with what's thrown at you. My first troll comment was actually a little shaky for me. I was super worried about it at the time. Although I certainly did keep talking about it for so long, looking back, I replied to it quite humorously. Roll clip.
Ooh. Rice eating bimbo? That's so true. I actually do eat rice.
And of course, weeks later, we got a famous channel incident. Roll Chinese lesbian clip.
Website of choice. And so there's like... She didn't even, well, at least that one's correct. Because that's like, that's gotta be the same guy, right? The idea of going, fuck, she banned me. Which accounts, you're Chinese! God, in my nightmares, I see her. A Chinese lesbian.
If I was super concerned about everything going to a beautiful plan, these comments would be far more hurtful and impactful. Instead, they're better viewed as opportunities for humor or making a point. If you can get called a Chinese lesbian in your stream, you can have fun with it. Or you can lament what it means about you, or you can just accept your new identity as a citizen of the People's Republic who, you know, happens to like women. You either sink or swim, and if a troll tries to drown you, I think it's best to keep swimming. I think mistakes are useful to make, not just for yourself, but for others too. Have you ever seen someone going to do something and you've gone, no, it's like this, because you've made that mistake before? That mistake is taught two people, yourself and that other person. And if that person tells other people, it's pretty much an exponential. Mistakes are important, because oftentimes the path to learning something is less akin to walking up some stairs and more like carving from marble. A marble statue isn't carved perfectly forming from the ground. It is instead the result of bits chipped away, made up only of the remains of a series of things that weren't needed. The path to figuring out things is the same. You can learn via mistakes, drop what you don't need, polish what you do, and understand what you can still use as fuel for future creations. One of my favourite games of all time is Catz for PlayStation 2 and Wii. In North America, it's called Catz 2, though originally Nyanko to Maho Noboshi, literally the kitten in the magic hat, in Japanese, and God knows what else in other languages. No, it's not a pet raising simulator like all the other pets games. Instead, it is a role-playing adventure game where you are a cat, and you get into situations. Your biggest situation is letting the main villain see the magic hat, a magic hat with magic powers that, well, it needs to be in the hands of a good person, or cat in this case, or shit hits the fan. So when the big bad wolf pinches it, shit hits said fan. You have to go around and do stuff and get it back. You actually only bother with said big bad wolf at the end of the game though. The bulk majority of the game is spent learning various things and helping out the townspeople or towns cats, with their big bad wolf caused issues. You have to find medicine ingredients, fetch a guy from here, get a bug to make music for the carpenter, and other tasks that help repair the town to its former glory. Having just put major shit to the major fan, you would think that there would be this tone of anguish and regret, that the town cats judge you and make snide comments, but in truth, everyone is quite forgiving and welcomes your assistance in patching things up. Overall, the game has this tone of forgiveness, that it is okay to make mistakes, as long as you learn from them and do the work to help with the fallout. Nothing says this better than my favourite quote from the game. The day after you and your friend royally make a mess of things by giving the all-powerful magic hat to the big bad wolf, the local sheriff locks your ass in jail. In the same jail cell said big bad wolf was in. You're being chewed out by said sheriff, trying to get back out, when Augusta walks in. She's kind of just a random old lady who lives on the beach, but her old lady status gives her some local clout. If you live in a small town, you know exactly what I mean. Anyways, she comes in and gives a speech. Everyone makes mistakes. I know it's led to some truly terrible things happening this time. Everyone makes mistakes, even you. This is what children do, cause trouble for grown-ups by doing unexpected things, but that's how they learn. This quote is important to me, not just because it summarizes the narrative point of the entire game, but because it's just true. Everyone makes mistakes, and it really is how people learn. Think back to any mistake you have made. Has there ever been a mistake that you made that taught you absolutely nothing about the world? Every mistake you have ever made taught you something, no matter how little that was. Even if it was just don't put that much wasabi on your sushi, or don't date guys who call you vulnerable when you meet them. Seriously. No, seriously, you do know I'm right, right? The only wasted mistake is that which we do not learn from. When it comes to making mistakes, I'm happy to make them for the sake of others. Again, I sound grandiose, but it is true. Have you ever seen those videos, I tried X so you don't have to? I'm doing that. I made a mess of it so you don't have to. In an age where people are too afraid to be imperfect, I think it is more important than ever for people to be honest about themselves and their mistakes. So what if I bash my mic on stream? That teaches you to watch where you put your mic. If you're anxious about being caught lacking or making mistakes, but I can implore you and beg you not to be, you can't change how your brain works. Not easily anyways. But idiots like me who find the funny in fuck-ups can put ourselves out there on a limb and teach you how to navigate things more confidently. You will make mistakes. I know you will, and you know you will. But I'm happy to say that you will make them and move on. And in moving on and accepting those mistakes, you will create more authentic things. In a world that is increasingly perfectionist and artificial, preserving that authenticity is how we can remind ourselves and others what really matters to us in our crafts. I think is much more important than being perfect. Thank you for watching. That was my take on being chopped and how I sleep at night, being so chopped and washed because I'm just like a vegetable. Soon I will be served and ate. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want, or don't. You can argue with me in the comments about how I suck and call me a stupid chud or a Chinese lesbian, but you won't be original for it.